Whoa! Where did that come from?
Lewis second.
You just said you prefer George.
I know, but I like Lewis.
With Red Bull already sort of sealing.
Not done yet. Not done yet.
Well,
It's
it's
not
not
done yet.
It is. It's done.
Is he gonna win?
So let's talk about the whole 3 points that Max Verstappen needs to seal the title.
What is this, football?
Yeah. So. Hey guys, and welcome to On Track GP. I'm Jamie Chambers, and we will be talking all things Qatar Grand Prix. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Who are you?
Who are you?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Where were you when Ferrari won?
Oh, bro, don't even get me started on this. But look, I'm back now. And a couple of weeks away, missed a Ferrari win. I can't believe it. And even worse, I was in America. I was asleep, so I didn't even see it happen. I woke up, and then like the moment it got. Look, I was heartbroken to miss it, but we won a race this season.
Mad. This man has suffered all season long, gone through the trenches with Ferrari, only to miss when they're on their peak performance. But it is what it is.
I mean, peak performance is, pushing it a little bit. But I mean, the humble brag of being in the US and asleep when your team wins a race. I mean,
We won. That's all that matters. I missed the jacket. You're welcome to wear that again and mock me if you want, Matisse. But no, looking forward. I'm very excited for this weekend. I think it could be quite mixed up. I think we could see a few different things happen. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into this.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got one sort of prior race in terms of back catalogue to talk about with this, but the track has changed somewhat. I mean, we've got some key things to talk about in terms of the actual track layout this year. But in terms of talking points, I think the biggest one we need to talk about first of all is the driver championship. With Red Bull already sort of sealing the
Not done yet. Not done yet.
Well,
It's
it's
not
not
done yet.
It is. It's done.
Is he gonna win?
So let's talk about the whole 3 points that Max Verstappen needs to seal the title.
What is this, football?
Yeah. So he's 177 clear with 180 remaining. We've got a sprint race this weekend. So should we just say
Finished.
it's pretty sealed and done?
Done.
I don't think. I honestly do not see a world. I will say this right now. I know it's day one for me here. I will never work here again if he doesn't win it this weekend.
Oh wow.
I'm that confident.
You're going
So-
that
There is
far
no
out there.
way. Okay.
So Max, if you're listening,
I'm sure he does as well. I just don't see a world. So okay, something can happen in the sprint on Saturday.
Yeah.
He can then do it on Sunday.
Rectify the
I
race.
just don't. And
Yeah.
he's relying on Perez having a good weekend, which I don't think we've really seen, maybe more than once this year. So
Yeah, it's done.
No.
Is
It's
it
done.
anticlimactic for him to win it in a sprint?
I think so.
Has that ever been done?
I
Not
think
really.
it's quite interesting. We will have more than likely have a championship winner in the sprint race. It's something that hasn't been done before. I mean, the podium probably won't even be out at that point. It's saying that they're probably wheeling it around behind him, to be honest. But
3 underwhelming championships
I
due
know.
to
I
cost
thought
cap, due
this.
to Abu Dhabi, due to sprint race.
Controversial.
Bring it on!
You're about to get
I'm not-
slated, mate. You're done for.
No, but do
You need to do it the proper way, Max.
You're absolutely right. I don't know if he can do it properly. Maybe that's something that he needs to prove to himself. Winning at the sprint race is not a proper win.
Maybe one of the most dominant seasons ever.
No, yeah, that's fair.
People
I'm
still
being
not
harsh.
saying he's done it
I mean,
properly.
a lot of naysayers are sort of clinging on to the fact that we have had at least one race where Red Bull haven't dominated, and this is not the race where we're going to say Red Bull are going to falter, I would say. I mean, we've got a lot of sort of high-speed straights, and overtaking opportunities are abundant in Qatar. So from sort of a championship perspective, we should probably talk more about second, third and fourth. Certainly in the Drivers' Championship, we don't need to talk too much about second, but third, fourth, fifth and sixth have become very interesting this year.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think I'm McLaren. I haven't said that. That's because of where I live. I think it's important to say.
Oh, okay.
Unlike some people, I don't just move on how teams are doing. Right? But from a McLaren point of view, I look at Norris and look at Piastri, and I think that's a fantastic driver pairing, backed up by a fantastic team. Ferrari, you were saying you like Sainz, you like Leclerc, but Ferrari, the team, is what's been really letting them down. Although, in fairness, they've had a couple of decent races.
Second half of the season, not
So,
too bad.
Yeah,
I
two
think-
poles and a win. I mean, that's a great
It's
season
unheard
for
of.
Ferrari.
I mean, for any team against
I
Red Bull,
I wish I had that.
Yeah,
I would.
How are you feeling?
I'd bite your hand off for that right now.
Yeah.
You know
What
what I
are
mean?
your thoughts on Mercedes at the moment?
I think we are struggling to find consistency. It's very like 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. And maybe that's being generous with the forwards, if anything. W14 upgrades come I don't see the upgrade.
Was it that noticeable?
Where was the upgrade, you know? So George and Hamilton were kind of tussling in the last Grand Prix as well, going back and forth. I think there's a little bit of tension there. Toto Wolff is obviously going to go maybe with the more seasoned, proven driver, but
He has to.
he has to, right?
Particularly this late in the season, man. You can't
Do you know what
trying to balance the two. Just let Lewis go. And
Do you know what I love about George? George at Williams was like, oh, let him go past if he needs it. It's his race. I can hang back. I can
had
hang
his
back.
eyes on Bottas' seat for
Trying
a
to be
while
that team
at
player.
point,
And then when he gets to Mercedes, he's like, elbows out.
Which you've got to respect to an extent.
One of the great things about Formula One is hearing what they say to their engineer after you've been lapped or overtaken in that sort of sense. I think with George, he has got the pedigree and he has got the inherent ability to be the number one driver. I don't think that Lewis Hamilton is at a point where he's going to let him. No. I mean, Ferrari were on a mission to sort of take each other out the race before. Mercedes decided to show them how to do it properly the race after. From my perspective, I think George needs to be let go and to just actually race because who better to race against than Lewis Hamilton in that sense?
It's true. I find this could be controversial. Don't hate me. But I honestly do think currently George is the better driver than Lewis right now. Hear me out.
This is not drivers' standings.
I appreciate we can talk about points. One thing I will say about George, and in Singapore, is that naivety.
You did see that he didn't turn left.
No, I got that. Man in here. What's going on here?
I got that. Hear me out.
We don't talk about Lewis like that in here.
I am the first person to say Lewis Hamilton is the best driver of all time in Formula One. It's disgraceful what happened in Abu Dhabi, not that we're going to go there. But I'm just saying, if you look, Mercedes haven't got a good car this year. I think we'd all agree with that. But George is extracting better performance when Mercedes are not at the races. He's always the one who can find that extra. I honestly believe that in the race. He's young, he's naive though. That's what happened in Singapore. I'm not doubting that. I just think Lewis hasn't really been himself. Maybe that one where he put it on pole a few weeks back, a few races back. But he hasn't been himself since Abu Dhabi, and I can't blame him.
I don't think Mercedes are going to be competitive for at least another year, another season or so. I think that we're going to need to see some fundamental law changes and setups of car change, much in the way that Red Bull have benefited from the last set of law changes with a wider car, better downforce. It suits the Red Bull style of car as opposed to the Aston Martins and the Mercedes. I think that's going to have to happen again for it to swing the other way to get Mercedes back to the front.
Matisse, can you see a world in where Lewis wins another world championship?
I'm clinging on for dear life.
Again, and I know people think I hate him. I really want him to do it himself.
I really want him to just get that last one because then it's like, we're finished, we're done. And then what you're talking about, letting George have the reins, and I think he'd be more than happy to do that. I think because he's been robbed of a championship, that's basically what it is, right? He's been robbed of a championship. I think he's still got that kind of chip on his shoulder, which he should, to go and get that final one to kind of cement himself in history. But whether or not he's going to do that, that is all down to Mercedes, because as we were talking off air, I would love him to be ruthless and say, I'm packing my bags, I'm going. It doesn't work like that. He just signed a new contract. What the dream scenario was, because I was at the McLaren factory with Abby a couple of weeks ago, go to McLaren and just
bring it all back.
Bring it all back.
Then I'm Team Lewis.
That car is about to get back to the pinnacle. He goes back home, he wins. And I think they were saying that if he wins one, he's got a McLaren left. They got a McLaren car for him.
That's true. There you go. Well, Norris off.
Do you think there's some nice symmetry between what Schumacher did with the amount of titles he has and the amount of titles that Lewis has, and the different eras that they were in? And if neither of them have that 8th title, that elusive 8th title, we won't talk about the Abu Dhabi. We'll leave that one where it is. But do you think there's some symmetry there in terms of the two different eras and the sort of overriding sort of how dominant Ferrari were and how dominant Mercedes were, and we can sort of say they both were of equal standing?
For me, I don't know if it's something about me, but I like to see records broken.
So do I.
I really do. I like to see records broken.
I think everyone indulged in Max Verstappen breaking a lot of records this year.
And
I don't think anyone didn't want to see him get 10 in a row.
You didn't.
I will openly say.
Apart from the staunch Mercedes fans.
I didn't. I don't
that
think.
one, I disagree.
Yeah.
Not a big Red Bull fan. Not big. Max, actually, I'm starting to warm up to it a little bit. Now that he's not fighting with Lewis, I think his driving's been a lot cleaner in the last couple of years.
He's unbelievable.
He's been
mate.
cleaner
It's a
because
joke
he's
how good
20
he is.
seconds
He's
down the
ridiculous.
road.
I mean,
It's
Karen
hard not to-
Chanduk said it the best. He has probably done the best pole lap of all time. I don't think anyone's really going to take that away from him. That was an incredible lap. And from that perspective, you're right. Without sort of the infighting, and also, I mean, Checo has been a very good number 2 driver. And
until this year.
I say number 2, I also mean number 6. But
exactly.
We're not slating on Checo, honest. But in that sense, the rivalry hasn't been as intense. You can concentrate on just being a driver.
That's what disappoints me. I wish the Lewis-Max rivalry would have continued for a few more years because I think that was the pinnacle of F1 right there. That obviously we've had Rosberg versus Lewis, and that was quite kind of fun as well when he won the Drivers' Championship. But this Lewis-Max rivalry, the two personalities clashing, Red Bull and Christian Horner clashing with Toto Wolff, like everything was just like the Avengers. It was brilliant. It was just a proper final showdown.
It was almost too good, man.
Like, it was almost too good to be true. The fact they only got it for 1 year
they've let me down these last 2 seasons. Last season was a little bit more exciting. This season, to be completely honest, it feels a little bit clutching at straws for excitement. With the fact that we've started this preview today going, let's be excited about who's going to finish 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. It's not quite the same. So I totally agree. It would have been so nice to see that for a bit longer. Well, next season.
Well, let's touch on that a bit more. So in terms of the constructors and 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and for want of a better 5th, where do you guys think are going to be the finishing levels for people, given the fact that Aston Martin are on a very steady decline, McLaren have found their form, and Mercedes are the most, after Red Bull, the most consistent point scorers. Where do you guys think people are going to finish?
I think Mercedes will finish 2nd.
You think so? Ferrari.
I don't. I think it's a blip, and a positive blip, and it's down here for the rest of it.
No, good circuit for us this weekend as well. We'll score highly. We'll outscore Mercedes this weekend for sure. I'm very confident on that.
I think, look, they've had a couple of good weeks. McLaren are probably out of the group of that, the team that's on the up, with both drivers consistently doing well. I think Piastri, just a quick word on him, unbelievable rookie season. But
one of the best rookie seasons I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Aston Martin will finish bottom of that little group.
Yeah,
just because.
Yeah, I don't think
he's
they've
trying
got
Alonso,
any
but
innovation left now. They're very much looking at 24, 25 as opposed to what they can, inverted commas, salvage.
As a pairing, they got the weakest pairing as well because Alonso's here and Stroll's right down there.
Here's a good one for you. Ready? Alonso has spent 1 lap outside the top 10 all season.
No,
really incredible.
Yeah,
especially in that car as well.
And Lance Stroll, I think, has spent 247 laps outside the top 10.
Well,
that shows
I mean, that's a graph for you right there.
Wow, forget it.
And that's why Aston Martin, and it's unfortunate because they had a great start, but it's Stroll.
I think it's a shame that McLaren. I want McLaren to finish 2nd.
I would like to see that. I would like to see McLaren finally have that return to top of the standings. They've had a long time in the wild, and changes of drivers and change of setup that hasn't suited either the drivers or the car or both. And for that setup and that team to finally find their form, a great rookie season. Lando is a fantastic number 1 driver for a team, and also he's very aware of how the team should run and how they should be competing. I mean, we saw a few races ago that they were happy to change over, it's not team orders, but to let drivers have a go and then return it. Much to Esteban's Ocon dislike in their team setup, but we'll get onto that. I think McLaren will have enough to at least attack at least 3rd, I would say.
Yeah, I can see them getting up and about there. I think they just left it a little bit late. 2 races earlier, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was almost the midpoint of the season. So, but last week they got a double podium. So who knows?
Keep doing that.
They're scoring crazy. At the minute, they're probably the second quickest team.
Yeah,
but it's where they've got enough time and whether they can, how Ferrari and Mercedes really do. If Ferrari and Mercedes are finishing 4th and 5th, and McLaren are finishing 2nd and 3rd, that won't be enough. But if there's a big drop off, the door will be open for them.
So let's talk about the middle of the pack. What do you guys think of Alpine's season? Is it on a tail off now?
Just that happened.
It was okay.
All right,
move on.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, first of all, I think it's just L after L. It's losing Alonso to the money, but then it actually turned out to be a decent decision. Then losing Oscar because they were focused on Alonso.
That was terrible.
It's been a bit of a circus. And then you just keep going, and you look at their driver lineup, it's actually quite solid. I think Gasly and Ocon is a solid lineup.
At
the start of the season, I was like, oh, bonjour, this is all French, and it's, this is fantastic.
Matisse giving us the culture on track GP. Let's go.
Triple play.
Pardon? Did you say triple play?
No.
I thought he did. Definitely said triple play.
Do you think we're going to see more infighting with Gasly and Ocon? Like Mark Gallagher has said, the gloves are off for the rest of the season. Do you think that Gasly's the stronger of the two? I mean, from my perspective, if he keeps out of the wall, generally he's got a better performance in him.
Is that not just a general rule, though?
I think
More for Pierre Gasly, really.
I think Ocon's a bit more of a dog, but a little bit less consistent. So it will be, I don't know. They're so similar. You look at their delta throughout the whole season. They're so similar. I hope that they can get a more competitive car next season. For this season, I think they're gonna be sixth. You know, that's what they're gonna do. That's fine. But I think if they could get an interesting car next season, like they're both capable. You know, they've both been on the podium this season, which is, you can't say for a lot of the teams. So
and Gasly's podium was particularly exceptional given the circumstances. He did very well. I think they're one of the teams where team orders has highlighted a problem, and it's not a good problem to have. And they're another example of letting your teammate through isn't always the solution, you know. So
they've had some howlers this year.
They've had some really
crashing into each other.
Just getting out of the starting straight would be great for Alpine sometimes.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mess, but I do think Aston Martin's random rise was not random because they've been heavily funded, but just at the start of the season, I think they caught them by surprise. They were like, oh.
Do you guys think with Aston Martin having their eyes elsewhere in terms of Le Mans and certainly development of hypercars and things like that, do you think their eye is going to be taken off Formula One somewhat?
Formula One's the pinnacle, is it not? And I think because they saw so much potential in those first opening weeks of the season, it's like, well, we can do it. We can get something together.
Yes.
I think you're right when you say it was all a bit of a shock, and I think it woke the other teams up. Then that first round of upgrades, from then on, really, people started coming in. But if you look at that first few races of the season, McLaren and Aston Martin, I mean, the difference now is unbelievable. It's ridiculous, really.
It's been quite literally a
literally
change.
a swap.
No, I feel like you're right. Formula One is the pinnacle, but the development does happen elsewhere. Aston Martin's season is run at this point.
Oh, it's finished.
It's on a decline. They've shown that Alonso was the right choice in terms of bringing in the experienced driver, and I'm sure he's got at least 2 more seasons in him. In saying that, he would do a fantastic job as a second driver at Ferrari. He would do a fantastic second job in Mercedes. It probably won't happen for him given age and time and experience and the rookie system that we have. But in terms of where Aston Martin are, I think they might have focus elsewhere for at least 6 months.
They always have to be careful because Alonso will pick up his bags at any moment.
We've seen.
Oh, he'll just leave the sport
high and dry. So I mean, I don't see that happening this season. But you know, if there's rumblings that the way that they started last season is they're not picking up from there and kicking on, you never know. But I'm trying to think as to who he would even go to at this point.
I mean, it would never happen. But imagine he went into the Red Bull section.
Oh, I knew you were going to say it.
Can you imagine?
Well, we should probably touch on that. There's only one driver next year who isn't guaranteed a seat. We all know who that is. In saying that, Logan Sargeant got through to Q2 and started Q3, started it fantastically well in the wall. But
he's done that a few times this season.
He does that a lot, doesn't he?
But in saying that, I felt
Latifi.
that he was on his way to more than 10th. I thought that from that qualifying session he was doing particularly well. Are Williams sitting on the fence with Logan Sargeant?
He's gone. He's gone and Lawson's in. Got to be, surely. I can't see it any other. You look what Lawson's come in and done in a tractor this season. And Logan Sargeant, I also saw the stat, his damage cost is nearly £3 million or something. And at a team like Williams, that's a lot of money.
That's a big chunk out of your budget.
I think they'd be silly to keep him. He's had a go. It's not quite worked out. Look, he's had an incredible junior career, and how he's got there. It's not the end of his racing career, but I do see it at the end of his
He will be a number 3 driver elsewhere, or even if he just is demoted at Williams, which is more than likely. Liam Lawson isn't going to get the treatment that I think he was expecting with Danny sort of with a broken hand and now missing 3 races in a row. I think Liam Lawson was maybe expecting, well, I'm going to have the consistency and the momentum here to go through
and show what I can do in that car.
But
I hope he gets in the Williams. I really hope he gets in the Williams.
Williams does seem like a logical choice. He's already on the grid. He's already performing. It makes
Lawson and Albon.
Look
is
at that for a pair.
Lot more, like in terms of projections and you know, planning for the future. That is a fantastic duo to then go and kick on for Williams and say, right, we're going to really break into this midfield on a consistent
2 drivers
basis.
shunned by Red Bull as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So
for
me, I don't. If they keep Sargeant and they allow Lawson to kind of sit out another season and then maybe end up at Red Bull regardless, then I think they've missed a trick.
Do you feel with the sort of shift to a lot of American fans, and we've got a lot of American races going on. Is that going to play a part in whether Williams need that American driver?
I don't think.
Yeah, you take
But I get your point. Absolutely, more races. What, 3 now in the US?
Yep.
And it's a massive part, and they love their sport over there. They absolutely love things like this. But I think when it comes down to that amount of money, what you're saying, 3 million or something on damages, just because a few fans are gonna follow your team.
Yeah. He's never raced there though, has he?
Like, he did all his driving in Europe.
Yeah,
so it's
so
not
I don't
like
think
he's
he
got
has
like
that
a huge
real
fan base.
American
and connection with the fans. There you go. Yeah.
So
I think it is unfair, maybe slightly on Logan Sargeant, because Alex Albon for me has overperformed. So everything he does is going to make anyone who's next to him look a little bit less.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Lawson's come in and been unbelievable.
Yeah.
And AlphaTauri, for whatever reason, have said, well, for not whatever reason, they're sticking with Danny Ricciardo. Fair enough. And that is another thing about the relationship with the fans. You're going to want Danny Ricciardo on your team. So there is that. It's just these two things have happened for Logan Sargeant, plus putting it in the wall 9 times out of 10. It's unfortunate for him because I think he did have potential, but it's just not gone his way.
I mean, speaking of places where people haven't driven, this weekend we don't have a lot of experience, and we've only got 3 drivers that have actually won a Qatar Grand Prix. Granted, 2 of them were in FP2, and one of them was Nico Hülkenberg. but in terms of that, it's not. It's very much a trial by fire for drivers like Logan Sargeant and Oscar Piastri to go to Qatar and be expected to perform.
But you know what? Oscar's been doing this all season.
Yeah,
he's been going to tracks. Yeah, he's been going to tracks that he's not expected. Well, he doesn't know much about, and he's going there and he's smashing it. So I'm starting to think now of Oscar that this is anything working to his advantage. He doesn't have any trauma, any memories of bad performances, any hiccups, and he's just going in there and he's just letting the shackles off. He's not overthinking. And he's just driving his car, and
he's driving with such freedom.
He is.
Man.
He is.
Oh, it's so good to
it's
watch.
like there's no pressure on him, but there is because he's driving for a McLaren that's got so much speed and pace in it. It's expected to almost now challenge for podiums, and he's alongside Lando as well. But yeah, he's just driving with ease.
I love it.
It's honestly, like you said earlier, it is one of the most impressive rookie performances I've seen.
They're certainly
recently.
one of the best pairings.
Yeah.
And
but
there doesn't seem to be a number 1 there.
How does that pairing dynamic change when they start potentially going for wins
It's be interesting next year.
Titles. If they start to get to that level, because I always say a pairing looks lovely when you're challenging for podiums and you're on the upward trajectory and everybody's just starting to find their feet.
families.
5 and 6.
Buddy,
Us 3rd and 4th.
Who would have expected otherwise? Now it's like P1 and P2, and it's I want to win this race, and now it's a different.
And we saw that with George and Lewis a little bit in Singapore, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because I honestly believe, looking back at that, if George lets Lewis go past, who knows? He could have maybe caught Lando and Carlos. I don't know.
I mean,
but
Carlos did a great
it's
job.
another
He did a
Toto
fantastic
Wolff
job.
fist on the keyboard situation. Again,
It's not
with
quite
Mercedes, there isn't that clear line because
Yeah.
Lewis is obviously the senior driver, he's the experienced driver, but they're letting George get close enough. They're letting George fight for that place.
Yeah.
And I think in George's mind, he's saying, well, I deserve that. I should be let past.
This is what I like about Mercedes. Is one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of them is because they do allow the battle to go on. And we saw it with Rosberg when he won the title. It was like...
It was amazing, wasn't it?
It took everything out of Rosberg. He put everything on hold in his life to go up against Lewis and take it for the full season. Because to do it one race here, like a Perez or a Bottas, etc., is cool. But to do it for a whole season against one of the greats is draining. But Mercedes let that happen.
Definitely.
You know? And would Red Bull let that happen with Max? If there was... I mean, I don't even think they'll even bring in a driver that has the potential to compete with him, let alone...
I don't think
Donald
there's a
Roxanne,
driver
Max Verstappen.
available that can do that anyway. Given the fact that we've got most drivers under contract till 2025, everyone's secured a seat for next season, bar one. There isn't a driver available that would be better than Checo, in that sense of filling that spot, bringing in the money that Checo brings in. But on top of that, be as competitive without taking a number 1 driver from another team.
When those contracts come towards the
end,
end, I don't expect Checo to get renewed. And I do expect them, well, I don't expect them to go for a Lando, but I would love them to. I would love them to go for
I think they will. I've seen
think
Christian
so?
Horner speaking this week, and
He's dropped a lot of hints.
He really has. He's always said, yeah, I'm behind Checo. And then he's gone, yeah, Norris is a great driver. And
Yeah,
there was that
yeah,
change
yeah.
this
Oh,
week.
really?
I was
And
like,
then
yeah, we all know.
also-
But
they leaked the conversation between Max and Lando, that Max wants Lando to be his teammate at some point. He said he'd be the ideal teammate apart from his dad, which was a lovely sentiment.
Oh, that's lovely. What a nice touch.
I'm not sure anyone wanted Josh Verstappen to be
Nobody wants Jos.
We've all seen him at Spa.
Yeah, God.
But no, I think Red Bull have got that very much in the works.
That would be a big blow to Zach Brown.
Well, they'd have to buy him out. They'd have to like. If it was to happen soon, they'd have to buy him out of contract, which is tens of millions, which Red Bull do have the money for, and they'll just say it was tuna sandwiches or something.
Yeah, their catering budget will be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that would be another awesome pair. I just want in that Red Bull car. I'd love to see 2 at the top. And for like 4 races at the beginning, we were like, hey, Checo's onto something here. This is good.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, I think as much as anything, the Checo problem has been the mental game.
There's confidence, isn't it?
It has to be. Yeah, he's
I
just
think there's a
struggling,
balance.
bless
It
him.
is the mental game. I think the car is designed around Max for the most part, and there is a lot of that in there. And if a car is designed around the first driver, it's very hard for you to be the second driver and come in and pilot it the same way.
Still a great car, though.
It's a fantastic
Great car.
I mean, it's a car that shouldn't
It's a
be
rocket ship.
Greatest car of all time. I mean, the stats.
What?
Say,
Are we talking just this era?
Yeah.
Just this
Stats-
era,
stats
I would
say
say
yes.
for sure.
Has to-
If
is
we're
a-
going
is a
back
rocket.
eras, there were Ferrari cars and McLaren cars that were as dominant. Lewis's first title in the Mercedes car, that was very good. But no, I would say in terms of this era, Red Bull cars.
Because they'll probably lose 1 race all season.
Yeah.
They'll probably lose. They'll win 21 out of 22
which is
races.
outrageous.
Yeah,
It's
which is-
absolutely just disgusting.
Should
Makes
do
me
it.
throw up. It's unbelievable how good they
But
are.
in terms of that, and talking about the actual racing, there's a track limits issue coming up this
Here in
weekend.
Qatar, for a
Here
change?
in Qatar for a change. I mean, you only need that much of the tyre on the track, right? Concrete deterrents. What are our thoughts?
I don't understand it.
I don't know where it's
can't,
coming
can't get
from,
my.
yeah.
I mean, look, they're the engineers, so I'm not going to fight them on whatever the decision is. But my sort of GCSE science brain says car going 200 miles an hour into concrete doesn't seem sensible.
No.
But I don't get it.
We've seen things with sort of banking corners and certainly making the curbs raised have been a mild deterrent, but concrete?
Bit much for me, personally. I think it's the wrong compound. But, I'm not an engineer, so we're going to find out.
There will be some reason behind it.
Of course there will be, exactly. But
I think
don't agree with it.
We're going to see
one of the
how it
biggest
works.
things, we had a lot of penalties and flags come out for track limits this season in particular, more than most.
Which race was it where it was like over
was
1,000?
like every corner is
the
outrageous.
Dutch. Was it the Dutch?
It was Zandvoort, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Like
It was-
every
there was
other
a-
corner, several drivers didn't make it out of Q1.
Yeah.
But it's when drivers are on the radio saying, "Oh, I've just seen so and so go off the track."
Yeah.
As they do
As
it.
they're doing it. I know.
As they're following the line.
It's just a
Concentrate
it's
yourself.
just a chain reaction of he's gone off.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So have I. Yeah.
Oh, I've gone
I
off as
think
well.
it might be, again, not an engineer, but it might be short-sighted in terms of what they're trying to do. There are better compounds out there. It could be PVC, it could be carbon fibre that would damage the car, and it would be a deterrent, but it wouldn't be concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, for me, is probably the biggest issue we're going to face with that.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to see it firsthand. We have got several drivers that do not observe track
Yeah,
limits.
yeah.
I mean, I'm again. This is where I bring in Latifi as I do every preview.
We love Latifi.
This is
The GOAT.
glad this is not for him. This one here, he would cause a ruckus.
He must be sitting at home thinking, "Oh, thank goodness."
Well, I mean,
That could have been me.
this will bring us on quite nicely to the last topic, but Romain Grosjean doesn't have a seat anymore, so
I don't know if he'd ever
I think
come
the day's
back.
No, I probably wouldn't.
No.
That was one of the scariest moments at F1.
yeah,
I
but
mean-
it proves that the pod works.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
for me is huge
Yes.
for Formula One
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we all heard Alonso on the radio, like checking immediately. We all had that moment.
Yeah.
But it proves that Formula One is incredibly
Going
safe.
up, yeah.
It shows that the halo works.
The halo's
pod
been
system.
massive.
The halo is massive for me. If you look
I
at
love it.
Massa and things like that.
When Verstappen landed that car on Lewis's head,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Italy.
no halo, no.
No Lewis head.
No Lewis.
Well, Lewis
Yeah.
will be a Lewis sardine.
It's-
at
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
it would have
yeah.
been mad.
That was the moment
that
for
halo
me
was
that
huge.
stuck out.
Yeah.
When his car was literally on top of Lewis's head, and you just think, oh my god, if they hadn't brought that in, he would have died.
Yeah.
There's no question.
No point going
if
around
the
it,
car's
yeah.
on your head, you're dead. It was really scary.
Did we not see something in F2? I don't know if it was this season where the car was upside down.
Yeah.
And again, I'm thinking about the halo again.
Well, and Zhou Guan Yu last season at
Silverstone,
Silverstone, he went about 4 miles
Well,
on
Joe
his roof.
decided he could travel faster upside down.
And in that car, guys. Yeah, we can joke because he was okay.
We'll move this to something less morbid. What are our thoughts on the FIA saying yes to Andretti?
I'm going to reserve judgment until I know more details.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that like Lawrence and close-minded and say no.
No, 10 is enough.
But I'm not anti it. I think sometimes you need things to shake it up. This season's been pretty stagnant. If this could be the thing to spark a little bit of passion, I'm not anti it.
It does need a spark, but as long as FIA, follow the rules and they don't get too caught up in Netflix and drama, and because it brings the racing into kind of disrepute a little bit, and it kind of.
It is the American element again.
Yes.
Drive to Survive has very much followed the Sunderland Till I Die format in that sense, and dramatising stuff that wasn't drama. And taking sound bites that the drivers didn't say. Or didn't say in that context. More to the point. So I think we are swinging towards the American a lot, and bringing in American teams or American-based teams. We've got expansion coming. Do you think that F1 are just going to say no for the moment and wait?
I think the influence of America is huge. Is it Ryan Reynolds who's gone into Alpine this year?
Yes.
He's buying everything. So by having stakes in that...
all that Wrexham money.
All that Wrexham money, huge stuff. But I just think the influence from the outside, boring is maybe the wrong word, but for this season it's not been particularly entertaining because you go into every race weekend thinking, well, he's won, and then you look at the rest, don't you? And I just think maybe it needs something to spark it up again, because the racing should be entertainment enough. We don't need Netflix documentaries to show that. Give me a great race week in, week out, and I'm there. And I think if this is a way to do it, then I'm all for it.
Obviously, we've got a sprint this weekend. Do you guys like the sprint?
I like the idea,
I
just not
enjoy
how it's
it.
done.
Okay.
I think there should be something where we have a reverse grid, or
Carlos
something
Sainz
that's way
said
more
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Granted, this season it doesn't count because Red Bull will be third after about 4 laps.
Yeah.
But in terms of making something more interesting, that does need to happen to make the sprint interesting.
In its current format, for me, it's a no-go. It's like a sped-up drivers' parade.
Yes.
They just kind of parade around the track a few times.
Here's 20 laps before the main Grand Prix.
But reverse grid, or I don't know, maybe reverse kind of drivers' championship.
Yeah, that's what Carlos Sainz said.
Yeah, I saw
which
that.
is really cool.
That could be
go
really
backwards,
cool.
so Sargeant would start at the
Oh
front.
yes, that would be
And
great.
Max would start at the back.
Logan Sargeant on pole would be the one. Right, we are out of time, guys. That has been our preview for the Qatar Grand Prix. Guys, it's been awesome. Thank you
Been a
very much.
pleasure. Wait, can we do predictions?
We must.
Predictions?
Who do you think's going to top 3? Let's bin off the sprint.
Bin off sprint.
So it's going to be Logan
world champion. Me, I'll go
Top 3.
Max to win it. He's going to have a dominant weekend.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
Max will take in excess of 30 points this weekend.
I'm going to go Lewis second.
Whoa! Where did that come from?
Lewis second.
You just said you prefer George.
I know, but I like Lewis. Lewis, obviously won, didn't he, in 2021. Max has the track record, so those two, why not? Let's have it for a bit of fun. And then Oscar Piastri, P3.
Wow.
I'm going to go Max, Lando, Checo.
Okay. I'm going to go Max, Lando, Sainz.
I've just put Lewis.
Wow.
I know.
He's just thrown it away.
Mercedes are not giving me any sort of encouragement that they're
Miracle
going
in to
to be
Doha
there.
this
Do you know what I
weekend.
mean?
Quick track, flat track. Red Bull 1-2, Max Checo. And then let's go for a little cheeky Lando Norris.
Oh,
Round
cheeky
it
Lando
off.
Norris.
Lando's appeared in most. I think that's pretty much how it's going to. That's how it's going to swing this weekend. Guys, this has been On Track GP. I've been Jamie. You guys have been awesome.
Thank you.
We'll see you for the watch along.